session back in session?
Yes.
Perfect. What I'd like to do now is to welcome our first speaker, Beatrice.
Oh,
Are you
waiting for me?
I'm sorry.
One second, may I make a comment?
Yes, please.
I think what we need to do is who is evaluating,
Oh, okay.
Beatrice, speak a little bit, give us a little nuggets about her speech.
The evaluator for Beatrice will be Bobby Canseco. Would you please stand up and give us an
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster. This afternoon, Beatrice is doing her speech project number 10 from this Competent Communication Manual. After this, she would have completed the requirements to become a competent communicator.
Yes.
Award. Now, the objectives is, the title of this speech project is Inspire Your Audience.
Oh, yeah.
And the objectives are one, to inspire the audience by appealing to noble motives and challenging the audience to achieve a higher level of beliefs or achievement. Second is appeal to audience needs and emotions using stories, anecdotes, and quotes to add drama. Avoid using notes, and the time is 8 to 10 minutes. 8 to 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Got it.
10 minutes is enough.
8 to 10 minutes. The title of her speech is The Supernatural Ghost Sightings.
Perfect. All right. Please welcome Beatrice, please. All right. That's it.
Hold on the timer, give me 1 second. On the timer. Fired up that I forgot.
Jesse, do you want me to move this to the side, or is this?
Do you need to move to the side?
Not really. I could hide it a little. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Are you happy to be here?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's just a habit. Are you happy to be in the house of the Lord? I'm sorry. So, well, how many of you believe in ghosts, really, in the supernatural? Seriously?
Yeah.
I really...
I've seen one.
Oh, you see? So you better come here and I'll sit there.
You're the Ghostbuster.
Well, since ancient times, we have been listening to ghost stories, and this phenomenon has really caught up with all the cultures. And if you notice that cultures throughout the world talk about ghost stories. It used to be our favorite pastime when we were small little kids. We used to gather around and love to scare people. So that was our pastime. So what are ghosts? Ghosts are specters, they are apparitions, and what else they are? They are supposed to be the spirit of a person. That's what belief said, and tradition, ancient tradition says that when a person dies, their spirit lives on. And that's why you find in a lot of these funerals, rituals, they make sure that these people don't come back. So while in Europe, it is considered to be treacherous and malicious and malevolent and dangerous, in different other cultures like the Eastern culture or South America, some of the Indian cultures consider it very sacred to have the ancestral spirits among them. Even in the place that I had been in Hawaii, it was considered very sacred. Some places were totally respected. And I think we have it in our Indian reservations too, I guess. So they believe in spirits. And personally, I always thought that believing in spirits were for the mentally disturbed people. I used to laugh at all this. To mention some of the famous historical ghosts. Do you know any of them? Any famous historical ghosts? There's Anne Boleyn, Boleyn from England, if you heard about her. So these and she has been, there have been many reportings saying that she has been visible to a lot of people. She is Queen Elizabeth I's mother. So that's one. And in America, the next one is Benjamin Franklin. He rates number 1. After him comes Abraham Lincoln. So I don't know what's going on in your heads, but to me, and what about the places that are very famous in California?
Hearst Castle.
Okay.
Is it?
Which is more famous than that is the Queen Mary.
Yes.
It just comes out on someone's mouth like the moment you talk about famous locations, Queen Mary, 50 sightings and counting. Then what is the other place? Queen Mary, then Alcatraz, the notorious Scarface. If you know that movie, right? What's his name?
Al Pacino.
The notorious guy. Al Capone. Yeah, he is the notorious guy who used to play his banjo in the shower, fear of coming out during his recreation time because he thought he's going to get killed. So he used to play his banjo there. So people claim to that they could hear that banjo even till today. So, well, this is enough of an introduction of the ghost world and what do I think about it? You already heard. I used to think people are mentally disturbed. They need attention, immediate attention. They need to see a psychiatrist and they are hallucinating. They are on drugs. So that's how I viewed it until what happened to me. When I was 18 years old, I was working as secretary to a doctor in this hospital. And one day, what happened? I used to work in the morning and a morning shift and have a break and then continue in the evening. So during that break time, I used to occupy the nurse's room where I would just take a nap and get fresh for the evening. One fine day, as I was sleeping, and suddenly I felt that something was pressing me down on the bed. And I just opened my eyes, but I couldn't lift myself up because the pressure was so bad. And then I wanted to scream. I saw one of the sisters moving around, so I said, "Sister, help me, help me." And I'm like shouting at her, but she just couldn't understand. Then I just said, she couldn't hear me actually. So I said, "Jesus, help me." So that's the final call, right? When there's nothing else that can be done, what you do. When your situation is hopeless, what do you do? Turn to God, whether you know Him or not. So I just said, okay, that was the first thing that came to my mind, Jesus. And then I was okay. So I woke up and I sat upright and I went to her and I said, "Sister, didn't you hear me shout?" She said, "No." Then it was so confusing and I thought, oh, that must have been some weird dream. Let me just not talk about it because people are going to think I'm cuckoo, right? So let me just be quiet. So I thought maybe I could talk to my mom about it. But eventually I forgot till it happened again. And this time in my house. And I'm just screaming out, "Mom, Mom," and I can see her just beside me and she didn't respond. Same thing, I asked her, she said, "No, you're crazy, you're going nuts." And so I said, okay, I'm going to ask the doctor now. Let's try that and see if they have any explanation to what I was going through. Went to the doctor. Doctor said, "Hey, that's so common. Every second person, goes through that. It's called sleep paralysis." So I was convinced. I said, okay, I got a solution to my problem now. So I was so happy until, not for long, I was on my terrace. I was sleeping again. And in the middle of the night, there was this thing pressing me down again. So I said, "Oh God, this is not happening again." And I couldn't even move an inch. Except my hand was on my thigh and I could just move my thumb. And I made, because we used to believe in, signs of the cross and all that. So I just put the sign of the cross and I said, "Jesus, help me," with whatever breath I could. But I knew I couldn't say it, but I felt it in my heart that help me. And then something just, came out like of me. I felt like that weight lift off. And this is for real, so don't laugh at me. So whatever this was, I could see it in a shape of like a white tail kind of thing. And it made a sound like a whoosh. and it went away. I was convinced, totally sold out that there is something. And after that, I kind of saw this thing, whatever it was, in different levels. So I was convinced, okay, there is something. It made a sound and it had a tail and it just went off and went away. So then again, when I was alone sometimes in the house, I saw this tall kind of a figure always passing me, always hunting me down and always haunting me. So I went to a person who knows about these things. And I spoke to her with it, hoping I'll get a solution to this. And she told me, oh, it's something to do with you. And she took me through a past life regression. And she termed it as someone from the past is haunting you. Okay, whatever. I said, she said, okay, you try to make peace with this and become friends because it's going to harm you eventually. Then I left India, went to Dubai. I thought, okay, I left this, whatever was coming behind me. Something else happened in Dubai. In the middle of the night, woke up, there was a cloud, heavy black cloud hovering over. And it was about to come into me when I said, Jesus, save me. I still wanted a solution. I wanted to know what this was. Then I came to the US in 2003. 2005, I had a divine intervention. This was so amazing when I was watching the movie on the Gospel of John. I remember like saying in my heart, like, Lord, if I was there, I would believe in you. And all of a sudden, Jesus is standing there. And then it came to my mind, everything, all the bits of the puzzle, everything came together and told me whatever that was, and what people talk about spirits is nothing but demonic. So don't fall for the BS. When they tell you it's a good, friendly ghost coming to solve all your problems, don't believe that. Because there is out there a demonic spirit that you have to be aware of, and there's only one spirit that's going to help you in life and take you to places and release you and make you free. Question is, now do you believe?
Thank you, Richard. I'm not going to believe in ghosts any longer. Thank you. May I get time for it?
No, that's
Just afterwards, right? I'd like to, the second speaker would be Adolfo. Now, Adolfo, Elmer will be our evaluator for Adolfo. Elmer, would you briefly explain Adolfo's speech?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster, I'm evaluating Adolfo for his project number 4 on special occasion speeches. And is doing a project entitled Presenting an Award. And the objectives are present an award with dignity and grace and acknowledge the contributions of the recipient. His speech is 3 to 4 minutes. 3 to 4 minutes only.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. Adolfo, would you like to come up and...
By the way, the title of the speech is And Those Videos.
And those videos.
All right.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Welcome to this ceremony, real ceremony that will occur at this moment, with a real award, a certification that is going to be given to one of the members that is here right now. Now, only the member that will receive that award knows about it. This member, Toastmaster member, became member and immediately became very active because of the contributions, the dedication that put this member as our member. We would like all as a club member, as members and officers, we would like to give the certificates. The specifics of the contributions that make this person outstanding in the participation and remarkable as an officer includes the following. First of all, I would like to say to please join me in honoring our Vice President of Marketing, Beatrice Yuli, for this. But just take the remainder. because in that way I can place it right here. And I would like to say the features that the activities that Beatrice has contributed to the club and why we would like to award her with the certificate. There is a consistent support, a person that never says no to challenges, not just personal challenges, as she delivers the speeches, and also the club challenges, right? As an officer, she's always constantly involved, very diligently pursuing to do the best. Now, as a VP of Education myself, I would say the following. It is my choice, because of this opportunity, to indicate that there are many, many good positives about Beatrice, including the consistent behavior as a member and as an officer, and also the attendance that she has in the club, engaging in the club activities. And just as an example, we have an open house activity that was done in a library near the previous home that we used to have, where that activity pretty much was the first one that the club did outside the home base of the club, and that was a major activity, and it was a success pretty much for the officers who gained a lot of experiences having a Toastmaster activity outside in that library, in a library nearby. That was mostly done by Beatrice Julie herself, almost 100% was initiated and produced. And that type of steps are the ones that truly create something new and contribute to all the members, not just for herself, but to all the members of the club. So I would like to call Beatrice here on the stage, please.
I'm honored.
Good. And we want you to please accept from all the members and officers, with truly gratitude towards you for your outstanding performance and exemplary participation in the Global Entrepreneurs Toastmaster Club. Congratulations.
Wow, am I dreaming?
There you go. And thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Beatrice.
Thank you. Pays off.
And it's not a ghost.
Mr. Toastmasters,
okay?
thank you very much.
Thank you, Adolfo. Wow, another round of applause.
I'm going to vote for
Now, Mr. President, with your assistance, I'd like to call for the timers report
Yes.
for Beatrice Yuli.
Beatrice took 10 minutes and 34 seconds. She went overtime 4 seconds.
Oh. Come on. Come on.
And Adolfo Morataya took 3 minutes and 46 seconds. He qualified for speech.
Oh. Come on.
Thank you, Jesse. Welcome. Now, what we'd like to do is vote for the best speaker. So, on your ballot,
There's no vote.
There's no voting. There's no
Oh, there's
Because
no
I
vote.
disqualified.
the winner is, should I
Is-
announce? Oh, you announce that at the end. Yeah.
No, at the end, that's at the end.
Now what I'd like to do is, I'd like to introduce our table topics master, which would be Karina. Karina? Thank you, Karina.
Okay, as the master for the table topic, the word for the day is manual, which means a stolen article found on the person or of or near thief. So what we need to do is the three people that's going to come up here to say a brief story has to include that word in the story. Has to be about 1 to 2 minutes, minimum 1 minute, maximum 2 minutes. So you have to think fast and speak fast. So let's call on the first person.
The topic?
I have to give out the topics, right?
Yeah.
I have to get 3 people. The first topic may be, how about Valentine's Day is coming up? Valentine's Day, talk about either your Valentine's Day, your good or bad experience. Or, how about John?
Oh,
John.
Well, I'm just here today as
John.
a spectator.
You're on.
No
Would you
spectator.
like to try?
Maybe next time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, then how about Mr. President? Just
Aha! Well, I'm also forget.
That's romantic.
Oh, that's a good one.
maybe Adolfo can do the timer?
Thank you. Wow, Valentine's Day. Okay, here we go. 1 minute.
1 to 2 minutes.
Valentine's Day definitely is coming up, and definitely it's a day of really spending time with friends and family, people you care for the most, and obviously, you know, anyone to come across, really say how much you appreciate them, how much you thank them for being who they are, their friends, the wife, the kids, you know, everyone out there that we really, the world involves of people, and definitely always being out there to manifest some love, because that's, with love, a lot of good things evolve, and definitely it's a time to really show it, but not, the idea is not really Valentine's Day, but at the same time, it's all the time being in that state of mind, a state of love and gratitude with people, and always appreciating people. And now, as far as the word minor, well, minor, so about stealing something, definitely, being careful about negative people, negative thoughts that influence in your mind, about negative situations that can change how you feel about people. That way you always have the love for that person and really be a person of gratitude, and let no other things or problems, negative stuff, really take you away from really people you appreciate and love. Mr. Mrs. Table Master, thank you, I'm done.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay, the second questions. Well, since Valentine's is tomorrow, that's tomorrow. Let's do something that has happened already. How about Chinese New Year? We just had our Chinese New Year on Sunday. That's the Chinese New Year. And yes, Mr. Roy.
Chinese!
Alright, Roy.
And you better know something about Chinese New Year.
I know. Let's test it.
You better know something, right?
It's all on camera.
We all refer to it as Chinese New Year,
Yeah.
but what does that mean?
You tell us.
Actually, in Asia, not just China, but in Asia, the calendar is 6,000 years old. Unlike, well, at least we have written records for 6,000 years. Obviously, it existed for a few thousand before people got writing it. It's still consistently, it's the lunar holiday, it's the lunar New Year, which means that it changes relative to our solar calendar, and there are adjustments just like that. But because it's so ancient, there are really no other holidays like we have religious holidays of Christmas, Easter, President's Day. Those are all holidays, but they're not significant. There is one large holiday, and it's a week long. And it goes from what on our calendar this last Sunday for the next full week. So if you're in a Chinese or an Asian culture, you're probably not going to be working. That's the time when everyone shuts down. If you've been to, as I made the mistake on Monday, going to get a haircut in Rosemead, I'm sorry, they're closed for this week. You're basically looking at a culture that recognizes everything at one time. Because the demands are harsh, everyone agrees that they'll have one time off to work, to travel, to go see family. In China, people who have transferred from the farm to the city and the family is still in the farm will take off the week. It's the biggest travel holiday of the world, of anywhere in the world. Everyone travels, unless they're close together. I spoke with my wife this morning. My family in China got together for dinner yesterday because it's a family holiday, and that's the difference. So if you think of here, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, all those combined into one holiday. That's what it is. So think of all those into one, and it's a really wonderful, wonderful tradition that someone have kept that going for 6,000 or more years. Thank you. I still think it's pronounced.
Thank you, Roy.
Come on, you would have.
Okay, our last speaker for this table topic. It's the last but not the least.
Wow.
Let's talk about the speech made by the president yesterday, delivered to the union.
State of the Union.
The State of the Union
Is he
speech
coming in?
yesterday, last night.
He's
Is
outside
he
waiting.
coming?
He's outside waiting.
So let's have Bobby.
Oh, goodness.
Well, Mr. Politician.
It's a tough one too.
Every year, the president is required to give a State of the Nation address or State of the Union address. I am not very particularly crazy about this type of speeches because it's usually a promise that they always make every year. But I decided to sit down last night and try to listen to what the president might say. And I heard a lot of good things that he said. First of all, he acknowledged that that the State of the Union is good. Now, that statement is, depends on who's listening. You mentioned that there are 6 million jobs that were created since then. But then again, when you look at the fact check, they will say, wait a minute, it depends on when you start counting. Obviously, he started counting at the time midway through the first term that he had, and started counting all the jobs, but not including those that were lost in the first 2 years. So it's not really 6 million, but it was like 1 million. But anyway, there are a lot of things that he addressed, like immigration. He also addressed gun controls. He also addressed the deficit. And I think these are important issues that needs to be addressed by the president. It's time that he come up with a budget. He said he's going to have a budget, but for the last 4 years, he hasn't come up with a budget. But I don't think this is the forum to say, hey, that whatever the president says is right or wrong. It would require a lot of discussion, but it's good that at least there's some visions that are being put forward for the next 4 years. I don't know whether those are stolen or not.
Yeah, stolen.
That video went over time.
Did he say a word?
Okay, you've
No.
heard all the 3 speakers, so let's vote on the best table topic.
Timer.
Oh, the timer.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, myself, I took 1 minute and 31 seconds. I qualified for time, and I believe I used the word. And Roy, he took 1 minute and 59 seconds, and I'm not sure, I don't know
I don't
if he
think
used
you
the
used
word.
the word.
No,
Bobby?
he didn't.
Took 2 minutes, 27 seconds, qualifies for time. Did he use the word?
No.
I-
He
Well,
said
he
stolen.
said it's stolen, but I don't know if that's qualified.
No,
for
I
it.
No. So,
Only one.
okay, only myself, right? Okay, myself qualified, there you go. Okay, that's what I got.
Thank you.
So I guess she's the only person that's qualified.
Now you call,
Okay, Mr. Toastmaster, Richard.
Thank you, Karina. Wow, give her a round of applause.
Wow.
Are we not getting this word because we're all foreigners except for John, Jerry, and Roy? Okay. What I'd like to do is call for the general evaluator. Call for time to put on an evaluator. No, hold on, I'm sorry. I'd like to call up the general evaluator. But first it would be Bobby.
No,
Elmer.
Elmer, I'm sorry. Elmer.
Elmer will lead the lecture first.
All right, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and other guests. Welcome to our Get Club meeting. My role today, I'll be hosting the third segment of this meeting, which is the evaluation portion. And this is where this is the segment where we as Toastmasters and even the guests can learn based on the evaluations that you're going to be hearing from the evaluators, which you can apply in your future speeches or your future projects, as the case may be. So my first stop is to call on our first evaluator to evaluate Beatrice. Yeah, Beatrice. So let's call on Mr. Bobby Canseco.
Come on, Bobby.
So how many of you believe in ghosts?
Yeah.
Holy Ghost.
Holy
Holy Ghost. I always believe that there's a spirit world. There, people are they easily believe that there's bad spirits, and there are also good spirits. And if we believe in the devil, the works of the devil, obviously there should be the works of God. So I always believe that a person is made up of three parts: the soul, the spirit, and the body. When somebody dies, the body turns to ashes. That's why Catholics, they always remind themselves on Ash Wednesday, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We come from ashes, then we also, when we die, we come from dust. I always believe that when somebody dies and didn't realize that you're already dead, then you have the spirit lingering. And some people, they think that, they see apparitions. And some, they see themselves as, especially those who have experienced being out of the, out of body experience, and then coming back, they would see their body lying on the surgery table and seeing themselves. So, in other words, there's a separation. Some people have just a very imaginative thoughts. And the speech that we heard from Beatrice today, she related her experience with seeing ghosts. And because of her faith in God, Jesus Christ, every time he invokes the name of Jesus Christ, she feels strong, she felt empowered, that she could overcome all these feelings. And in the end, we heard from her that all these beliefs in ghosts, these are demonic spirits. Now, let me go back to the purpose of this speech. The purpose of this speech is to inspire us. Okay? The first question is, was the speech topic relevant to the occasion selected? At no time, I don't know whether you're talking about ghosts. The best topic to talk about.
He thought it's a bedtime
So I'm not
story.
sure. Did the speaker understand and express the feelings and needs of the audience? Well, I'm not quite sure whether you did. But the one thing I'm sure is, was the speaker forceful, confident, and positive? That's one thing I like about your speech. You're so animated. Your voice is so loud. Even if it is at noontime, I felt like listening to stories about ghosts. So that's one thing about this story. What I would suggest, if you still want to talk about ghosts, I think, to give a message, since this is an inspiration, to answer the question, why is it important that we should not believe in ghosts. What benefit would that do, you know, to us, you know, as a living person? How will that affect our, you know, living going forward? It's not enough to say, hey, let's save the money. So any speech that you give, there always has to be a message, and that would inspire everyone. So my question is, do you believe?
Alright, thank you, Bobby. Solid evaluation. Okay, so let's call on our second evaluator to evaluate Mr. Adolfo Morataya, and that's no other than Albert Noto. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I'm honored to evaluate our VPE Education, Mr. Adolfo Morataya, on this special project, presenting an award on his special occasion speeches series. Well, Adolfo, you killed two birds in one stone.
Wow.
Why? First, you were able to do your special project number 4 on this series, this manual series. And second of all, you were able to present an award to a person who truly deserves this award. And it's given not because it's a prop or it's a... You didn't use her as a prop, but it's actually an award given to her because she deserves the award. That's two birds in one stone. This project has two simple objectives. And these are, present the award with dignity and grace. And I'm sure everybody would agree, you're very dignified here, and you did present it with dignity and grace. Acknowledge, the second objective is acknowledge the contributions of the recipient. And this you did. I mean, you enumerated her achievements, what he had done for Get Club. And I know for a fact that Beatrice is very involved in our club activities. She had stepped up a lot of times in all our special meetings, our special events, and Beatrice is always there. Look at every week, check your email. You will see yourself speaking on YouTube. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Although I always cringe seeing myself on the screen, but you know, I'd love to see how I at least sound, or at least I present myself in front of a camera, and that's a very good contribution for us members to see, so we learn from the mistakes that we were not even aware of. That's the strength of this speech. You have clearly indicated why Beatrice deserved the award, and I believe you caught Beatrice by surprise. I don't know if Beatrice was aware of this award, because I saw her, you're a little bit teary-eyed when you came back to your chair. So, very exciting for her. One suggestion that I would like to make is, I want to see more vocal variation in doing this speech. This particular speech. I want to see more energy, because the more energy you have on this particular awarding ceremony, it will make it sound more exciting, and it will suck the audience more to the excitement that you're trying to project. Mr. General Evaluator. Okay. Another solid evaluation, Mr. Dinoso. Okay. Let's proceed with my role as General Evaluator. So I'd like to call on our timers report, Mr. Jesse.
Okay. Bobby took 3 minutes and 25 seconds. He qualified for timing. And Elmer, you took 3 minutes and 8 seconds. You also qualified for timing.
All right, so that's best for the better evaluator.
Yes.
So let's call on for our grammarian report, Mr. Voss?
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you. Grammarian report. Well, some of us use the word manier. Let's put it grammarian.
Well, also the, the usage of the English language. I don't know if you listen to the usage of the English language, how they use the language, are they using the grammar correctly? Those are the things that the grammarian should also take note of.
As a grammarian, there was the language of English was spoken properly during our speeches. As a foreigner, I tend to look at certain things because I took ESL as when I first came here, English is a second language, so I pay particular attention, and we use the grammar properly without using slang and things like that. So, thank you.
All right, now let's, okay, that's my wrong. The counter report. Roy.
Us. Well, Voss had a couple when he first was starting out with his opening. The reason to be conscious of the Oz is that it shows the audience that you're really not prepared. Whereas if you're quiet, they won't notice. In the time when you did your introductions, you had two ums. Jesse, in his initial opening of the meeting, had several. Beatrice had one and one ah. Adolfo had two ums. Katrina, even though you have an accent, your English is without ahs and ums. Which is that's very, very unusual for anyone, especially someone who's not native English speaking. So you're doing excellent. I noticed that I had several because I was using ahs and ums because I was having difficulty. Usually for me, the table topics are very easy because it's a detached, quick answer. I found myself flipping back and forth between the detached historical context of the Chinese New Year and my personal relationship to it. And each time I mentally, uncontrolled, made that mistake, I heard myself filling that space up with ahs and ums, which so when you might be conscious of when you're going to speak that you, in order to remain concise, only focus on one area of the question. Elmer and Bobby both have been speaking for so long and are so confident in front of groups that they very seldom, if ever, will use an ah or an But even though it's intruding on the grammarian topic, and I would suggest that each of you, which I guess would be almost everybody in this unusual and wonderfully unusual group, is that idioms. I had the opportunity to teach idiomatic English in South America for about 3 months for some business people in one of my former lifetimes. And the phrase is kill two birds with one stone.
Oh,
Okay, so you might want to, each of you, try running your speech by somebody who's native English speaking, even if your kids, to make sure that you're using the right idioms. Because using the proper, anytime you use an improper idiom, if you heard me butcher Spanish, or God forsake us from Chinese, you wouldn't hear my message, you'd hear my English, or you'd hear my language. The whole purpose of Toastmasters is to equip us so we can speak without people hearing us. They'll hear the content instead of the speaker.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, so it's my turn to give a little feedback of our meeting today. So, as usual, we have a lean group. But you know what's the advantage of a lean group? Everybody had a chance to speak. If you go to a big group, sometimes you would attend the meeting and you just sit there. And that defeats the purpose of going to a Toastmasters meeting. So let's take advantage of this lean group, so to have the stage time that we need to harness and our speaking skills and also our self-confidence, you know. So let's continue coming in, and of course I'd like to encourage everybody to invite more members. Right now we're less than 10 here, I believe. So ideally, maybe up to 15 would be a good size club for a Toastmaster. Of course, I also would like to acknowledge those who double up their roles today. Of course, as usual, we got to do that to fill up all the roles that are needed in our agenda. And some things that I took some note here. The timer, he was also reporting the word of the day, which should be the role of the grammarian.
Correct.
And I think you mentioned who uses the word of the day during your timers report.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And also, it didn't happen today, but I had observed at the previous meeting, when an evaluator is called to say something about the speaker's speech, normally that evaluator will also introduce the speaker, which should not be the case. The Toastmaster introduces the speaker. All the evaluator does is to read the project's objectives, tell about the project objectives, read it from the manual, and leave the introduction to the Toastmaster. And for the speakers, I would suggest also to please write a short intro about yourself and give it to the Toastmaster so that the Toastmaster can read it and introduce you at the proper, when your time comes in to speak. So, I mean, something to do in the future, in our future meetings. And at this point, I would like to return the control to our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Alvin. Wealth of knowledge, thank you. At this point, I'd like to bring back our president, Mr. Jesse Alvarado, to conclude the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, boss, appreciate it. Good job. All right, well, thank you, Omer, for sharing that with us. I definitely appreciate the experience that you have, you and Bobby, very experienced people that bring a lot of value in coaching us here in this club. That's definitely important to have, let us know, and then among also what you share, and then also with Roy, definitely about what we noticed. This is a place to really grow and really develop ourselves here. And we go out there in the community and society, we can definitely communicate better. And absolutely, so thank you again for sharing that with us. We need to correct those little errors, but that's what we're here for, to really improve and develop ourselves and then learn how to run this tight ship. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to present out of words, and I'm going to present the first award, and that'll be for a first timer, without be John. Please coming up. All right, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next, I'd like to present our best table topic.
Yourself.
Myself. Thank you.
You want to take a picture?
Picture?
Yeah.
Got the camera on me, huh?
We can.
All right, then. Give it to myself. Mr. Mentor, Bobby Canseco.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can we get a picture with John too?
Yeah, John, please.
Come on, John.
I mean, won't hurt.
We didn't get.
There you go.
Our public relations.
Yeah. All right, let's do that.
Cheers.
One more.
One more. Gotcha.
All right. Okay, all right, good. And our next award will be Best Speaker, and that'll be
Adolf.
Adolfo Morataya. Please come on up. Yay!
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, good job. And there we go, the best of the best. Our best evaluator is us, Mr. Elmer Dinoso. Yeah.
Smile.
One more.
Thank you.
All right, good job. Let's give it up for him. And now, before we wrap up, is there any
Yes,
comments?
Mr. President, one
Yes, sir.
comment I would like to make. At this moment, we are 11 members, and
Yes.
with the potential of 2 new members that are going to be added soon, potential. So we're working on that. And one more comment I'd like to make is next week, in our meeting, we're going to have a contest.
Okay.
We're going to have a contest so that we can participate in the March 1st Area H1 and H2, I think it is, contest that is going to happen in Wendell. So there will be 2 winners that will go to the contest for table topics and for speech that will participate in that.
Okay,
You
great.
will receive an email on the event too, of course.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, Adolfo. Okay, well, definitely, I want to thank every one of you to being here today and support the club and with the intention to grow this club and really go in a way that can definitely be able to have more people take different roles. That way we're able to focus more and concentrate. Definitely thank you for taking the time to be here. I know it's challenging, the time, the kids, life, but then nevertheless, really what we're committed to. If we're committed to develop ourselves, we'll find a way to make it happen. And definitely thank you for being a mentor of club.
Can we request the newcomer to give a feedback?
Excuse me?
Can we request the newcomer to give us a feedback?
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you. John, can you give us just anything about how you,
What do you think about this?
what you think about the club, your experience here with us? Can you stand just right there? And just,
Yeah.
Excellent. Hi, I'm John Jerry. I'm sorry. My assessment of the club is very powerful. I see what each one of you bring to the table and how that can encourage an individual and help them in presenting themselves in a better light. I was very encouraged and inspired by you guys, and I think you've done a great job thus far. So I believe that's
Your background?
yeah.
on my background. Well, I came from being a business owner. I had a marketing company where I did marketing for various individuals, various companies, to help create referral and repeat business. Due to the recession and one of the most major mistakes I made, that I had stopped marketing myself. And by stop marketing yourself, I became complacent, which led me to the demise of my company. Since that point in time, I entered the real estate field, and currently I'm a real estate agent for All Nations. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for standing up. Okay, is there anything else? Dad? The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
All right, good job.